Welcome back to the Deep Digger Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew. My other host, right over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. All right, so today we're digging into a whole bunch. The 49ers lost their first game. Now it is a three-horse race between the Niners, the Eagles, and the Lions as far as who's going to take the NFC. We're also digging into the Vikings Monday night matchup next week, and then just touching base on a couple of different stories from around the entire NFL. But before we dig into that, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and drop some comments and be sure to subscribe. Honestly, it really helps us out. So if you appreciate our content, please do that.
Yeah, it's a tough week, but y- the undefeated streak had to come to an end at some point, and I'm gonna live on the positive side and say that it's a good thing we got that off our back. We could just refocus, get back into the season without the pressure of going 17-0. Um, that's the only reason we lost. We just wanted to get that out of the way.
No, you know what it was? It was the solar eclipse that happened on Saturday that threw off the whole vibes. It killed the energy. Now we got to reset and revamp, and we're moving towards Monday night. That's what it was. It was the solar
Yeah.
eclipse.
All right. Well, to be serious, that was a shit show of a game. Brock Purdy played a terrible game. I don't know how much weather factored in. That Browns defense just locked in, looked dominant. Multiple injuries to the 49ers. I mean, what was your main takeaways from this game? I know it's one game, so let's not, get crazy here. Even the Eagles lost this past week, and Jalen Hurts threw three interceptions. So
Could have thrown
every
four.
yeah, any Sunday, any of these teams can look bad. It's the NFL. How we feeling though?
Yeah, man. I think while it is it was a shitty loss. And afterwards, you had like a bad taste in your mouth. Two missed field goals by Jake Moody. The offense just couldn't really get going. Kyle falls to 1-9 against Schwartz. He's just a defensive mastermind, apparently. But yeah, I think at the end of the game, you could take away that when called upon, when needed, Brock Purdy moved the ball down the field and got the team within game-winning field goal distance. And so you could take away that positive. Another positive is with the injuries. I know Trent Williams is day to day. Deebo Samuels is day to day. And according to Adam Schefter, he has no fucking idea about anything. It was when it comes to Christian McCaffrey. He said could start next week, could be 8 weeks from now. No one really knows. So that's kind of up in the air. But at least with the other two, it's minor injuries, not going to set them back weeks at a time. So we'll see about Christian McCaffrey. And yeah, you're right. If you're going to take an ugly game like this, you'd rather have it earlier on in the season rather than later on or in the playoffs even. So, I mean, it is what it is. They are the number one defense in the league. I was just thinking with PJ Walker at the helm, the offense would get more going just because they would have more opportunities. Kyle needed to scheme it up a little bit better. I don't know what they were doing, especially after Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel go down. I think you should have relied more heavily on George Kittle, on Brandon Ayuk. But I mean, it is what it is. You take it and you move forward with it.
Yeah, I think just following up on Kyle's team here. Once McCaffrey and Debo go down, I mean, Kyle we didn't get anything going until that final drive. Like literally nothing, like negative yards. And then Brock Purdy turns into a quarterback who looks like you can rely on to be just a regular quarterback in an offense and get the job done. And so I'm thinking once McCaffrey goes down, like Kyle, why not just trust Brock to throw it down the field and get IU going, get Jawan Jennings going? I mean, yeah, without two of the best players in the league in the lineup, you're relying on some people who don't normally aren't getting this type of action. But I thought that last drive, Brock kind of proved that he can stand in there and be a pocket quarterback and get the job done. Do you think this was kind of very conservative play calling by Kyle, or do you think it was the play of Brock not being up to par, or was the defense, or a combination of all three?
I think it was a combination of all three. I think with Kyle Shanahan, it was weird. Like he was like playing conservatively, but also like he was calling jet sweeps for Ray McLeod, and they were doing really well. And it's like, okay, well, let's build off of that. Like, let's do some other things that we haven't really shown in the past, but it kind of stalled out. So I'm not sure. I think it is just a combination of everything: the weather, Brock not playing his A game, the defense you're going against is elite. So yeah, I mean, it just ends up for a shitty day, but ultimately it was a game they could have won had it not been for two missed field goals, 6 points off of the back of your third round rookie kicker. And I was seeing afterwards, this is someone had X'd or tweeted that they were like, how like the 49ers shouldn't have put Jake Moody in this position. Like this was on them. But at the end of the day, you're a kicker. You have to kick field goals. When you're called on to hit game winners, you have to hit game winners. And if anything, it's kind of on you because you should have hit the first one to begin with. But what are your thoughts? And there was a huge rallying for where is Robbie Gould? What are your thoughts on Jake Moody, the kicker situation, things like that?
I mean, first of all, it's ridiculous to say we put him in the 49ers put him in that position. I mean, he's a kicker. There's no backup kickers, and there's no. I mean, maybe you could practice squad a kicker, but like, nah. Most of these guys are just like going and doing car salesman jobs or something like until they get called. Um, man, it's tough because preseason, everyone's worried about it. Everyone's thinking we fucked up drafting this kicker so high. Regular season comes around, he's knocking him through. He's looking pretty good. And this game, he misses two big field goals. We could have easily won this game, even though I don't think we deserved to win this game. Um, yeah, I'm kind of wondering like how fresh do you think Robbie Gould is right now?
Well, he's got to be thinking about it. Like he's got to be keeping an eye on the rest of the league at least. And for sure he's got his eye on the 49ers. What are they going to do? If they need me, I need to be ready. I don't know. And so Kyle Shanahan talked about it afterwards, and he was just like, it's unfortunate. We'll see. We will see how he bounces back from this. And so that gives me like a little inkling. If this shit's going to happen again, one, maybe two more times, like they're going to yank him. You know what I
Yeah, I
mean?
don't think you can have a long leash, even just say like, oh, he's a rookie. We should like give him more opportunities and like let's wait it out. Like this is a Super Bowl season. Like Super Bowl or bust. We cannot be waiting for some kicker to develop. Like we really need someone who's just gonna knock through these kicks consistently. And if you're gonna miss two in one game, that's not Super Bowl worthy. Um, that can be the difference between the one seed and getting knocked out in the conference finals.
Yeah, and I think what you end up doing rather than wasting your resources, a la the third round pick, is you pull the old what was it, Ty Detmer, where he was like, "Watch this," and he faked an injury on the practice field, and you just IR him. You know what I mean? Hey, you know what? Jake Moody got hurt. We had to bring in Robbie Gould, and it looks good. It looks better than you having to cut this guy. So I think that's what they end up doing if
Yeah, you
it
gotta you
comes
gotta
to
Urban Meyer kick him and have him be injured. So
take his knee out.
I think my main takeaway from this game, every team has played a bad game this year. We know no team's not going to be perfect. Brock Purdy struggled, but that defense was real. The offensive line for our team struggled this game. Multiple injuries, like Trent Williams going down for a while, Deebo, McCaffrey. It just felt like a lot
Dre
of,
Greenlaw was out on the
yeah,
other
Drew
side.
Greenlaw was out. A lot of things like stacking against us. But we'll see if it carries over into these next couple games. I mean, Brock's allowed to have one bad game, and it not be the end of the world. Like I said, Jalen Hurts throws three picks. They lose to the Zach Wilson-led Jets. Mahomes loses to the Lions this year. Tua and the Dolphins have gotten dominated by the Bills. So, like, it's the NFL. Like, every team is good. Like, despite teams being shitty and like looking really bad, Chicago, um, all these teams can be good on any Sunday. So, um, especially with a team like the Browns who have a great defense. So I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
agree. I think you can take some moral victories, but then you also take some lessons from this and just move forward. That's what you got to do. But now, moving forward, it is going to be a 3-horse race for the number 1 spot in the NFC. So the Lions, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the San Francisco 49ers are all 5-1. Oh man. And the Eagles have a really big matchup. I believe it's the Sunday night game this week. They are taking on the Miami Dolphins. And it is reported that all of Monday, Howie Roseman was trying to wheel and deal because their back half of the defense has just been obliterated. So they're looking to add some DBs. And even if they do it, realistically, what are you going to do off of like a couple days notice, get in there and then go against Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill? That's a tall task for anyone. But I mean, could you see them actually taking on this Dolphins team and winning? What are your what are your thoughts on just the Eagles in general this season?
I mean, yeah, they've won ugly a lot of these games. Obviously they just lost to the Jets, which is kind of you kind of worry if you're an Eagles fan because the main staple of the Eagles is being physical and dominating other teams at the line of scrimmage. And then you have this Jets team that came in and out physicaled you. And man, all you have to do against the Jets is not make mistakes, and you can easily beat them, very easily beat them. But when you give away 3 interceptions and you're not putting up a lot of points, that's when this Jets team can become dangerous. So again, anything can happen. The Jets have an amazing defense, not so great on offense, but when you turn the ball over so much, give them way more opportunities, that changes things. Just thinking about this Lions team though, I'm feeling like they can do something here. They might have a legit shot at this number 1 seed, just looking ahead at their schedule and knowing that the Eagles and the 49ers have to play each other. And if the Eagles get another loss here and there, say the Eagles do lose to the Dolphins and then they lose to the 49ers, that opens the door wide open for these Lions. Um, so just
What's the
looking
schedule?
at the easy games on their schedule, like they play the Raiders still, the Bears. I feel like the Packers aren't much of a challenge for them at this point. They play the Saints, the Bears again, the Broncos, the Vikings, and then the Vikings again. So that's
Ugh.
7 games that I think are very easily winnable. And then you throw in the Ravens and the Cowboys as the challenges there, and the Chargers. And so very easily can finish with 4 losses, and then give or take some of those tough games. I mean, you're looking at a pretty healthy win column for the Lions.
And this is a team. The Lions team is like scary just because they're so balanced. Jared Goff obviously slings it all around the field. Amon-Ra St. Brown is just unhuman. He just takes over games. And then you have David Montgomery, who's going to be out for the next 4 weeks at least. But he looks awesome. He looks revitalized. They have Jahmyr Gibbs just sitting there. Apparently, Johnson just hates him. I'm speaking from a Jahmyr Gibbs fantasy owner standpoint. I'm fucking tired of losing. So please, let's utilize him a little bit more. But this team looks good. And obviously, with Dan Campbell, they play with grit. That's one of the main things. And I don't think they fear any team. Did you hear when they asked him about being the hunted? They were like,
No.
okay, well, it's cool like to be like the hunters, what you were last year. Now you're the hunted. And he was like, oh, if we're hunted, if teams are hunting us, we'll be out on our front porch waiting for them. And it's like, dude, this guy is fucking awesome. Like, and the team has really taken on the mindset of Dan Campbell. And yeah, they have a realistic shot of taking that number 1 seed. But I mean, this 49ers team is also built like that. And we know that moving forward, they are going to have a little bit of a not an easy schedule, but they're going to be able to win a lot of these games if you look at it. And
Yeah.
so this week
I
they're going to be taking on the Vikings. That's an easy game. Not an easy game. There's no easy games in the NFL, but if
but it's
you
an
would
easy
say
game.
that's a game that they have to win, right? That's a must-win game. Like they're gonna, by all means, like if unless there's another solar eclipse, like they're gonna take that game, right? You're taking on the Bucks. You still have to play the Seahawks, which are going to be a challenge, but you should beat them. You're taking on the Rams again, another Cardinals team. So like most of these games you feel like the 49ers should win.
Definitely, definitely. And like I think the Eagles might have the toughest schedule going forward out of everyone because they still have the Dolphins, they have the Cowboys twice, the Bills, the Chiefs, the Niners, and then they play the Seahawks and Cardinals. Who I mean, Cardinals don't have a great roster, but they've been putting up a challenge for everyone. So I think Eagles might have the toughest schedule going forward out of the bunch.
And I mean, they have already been struggling. Obviously, it's going to take a few weeks to get cohesion because they have two brand new coordinators in there. Both their coordinators left to go take head coaching jobs. Jalen Hurts doesn't really look the same or as on point. He had 3 picks. One of them wasn't his fault. It was in and out of the hands of the receiver, but he could have had a fourth one on that last play. So nothing looks easy for this Eagles team as of right now, and yeah, I could see them falling behind in this race.
Well, you guys let us know in the comments, who do you think has the best shot of getting the number one seed? Is it still the 49ers year? Are the Lions going to surprise people and get that number one seed, or the Eagles going to be a lock? Let us know. So let's get into this 49ers Vikings game a little bit. How we feeling about this matchup? I know we talked not well about the Vikings earlier, but how we feeling about Kirk Cousins and no Justin Jefferson for this team? So what are your immediate thoughts?
I mean, one thing I could describe this Viking team as like scrappy. They are in every game. They almost beat the Chiefs. If it wasn't for a no call against the Chiefs, they probably win that game. It's just been little mistakes here and there that have really tanked their record, but they are a solid team. And this is the Kirk Cousins tryout. Like everyone always says, Kirk Cousins cannot perform in prime time. Once you get him in that, like past the Sunday afternoon game, his overall play tanks. You think he's looking at Kyle Shanahan like, I could do this, bud. Hey, remember when you fell in love with me? I can do this again. What's up? And Jordan Addison looks awesome. He looks every bit as fast on the NFL field as he did in college, maybe even a little bit faster. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the purple, but he really pops when you take a look at what the Vikings are doing. Uh, again, Deebo Samuel is going to be day to day. Trent Williams is going to be day to day. Those are two major pieces. And who knows what ends up happening with Christian McCaffrey. But with an entire week to really build off of what they did on that last drive, I think the 49ers end up figuring it out and really kind of putting together a game plan that beats this Minnesota Vikings team.
Yeah, I think this Vikings team does make mistakes. Their defense, it's not as great as it once was. The offense, I think, is kind of one dimensional. When you get rid of Dalvin Cook for money, um, and you just roll with Alexander Madison, you're really banking on Madison to be like the guy. Right now, he's at 320 yards on the season, 0 touchdowns, and he's had more dud games than good. He's only had 2 games at 90 yards. The rest, they're like 40 and under yards. So not the best run game. And then you take away Justin Jefferson, huge weapon, one of the best receivers in the league. Or Addison, has been looking great for my fantasy team.
Okay,
But
whatever.
yeah, I mean he hasn't looked like dominant or like amazing, all like Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks great. He looks solid. So nothing about this Vikings team really scares me. I mean, it's gonna be a good matchup for like our linebackers and Hawkinson in the middle of the field. So I think if we could shut that down and keep Addison out of the end zone, then we have a good shot.
Yeah, and this is another road game for the 49ers, I believe. So they are going to be they're going from Cleveland to Minnesota. Do you think there is going to be a little bit of lag, a little bit of like I don't know, the reluctancy to really get up to uh, a playoff caliber level of play?
I think it's gonna be on Kyle because like if McCaffrey's not good to go, like what game plan? What's the script, Kyle? Like we need to come up with some good stuff. We can't just rely on McCaffrey every time. To say we get in playoffs and McCaffrey gets hurt. I mean, this is a team that has players who get dinged up a lot. We're very, I mean, not
Historically.
taking away from their talent, but historically, yeah, we have players that are injury prone. And so you need to be prepared to like work in some other guys. Like if Deebo goes down, like why aren't we putting Ronnie Bell in that position? If McCaffrey goes down, we need to figure out how to run the ball.
Yeah.
It's not like we have absolutely no options other than these guys. Jordan Mason's looking solid. I mean, we spent a draft pick on Ty Davis Price. I'd hope he can figure it out. Um, so yeah, like Elijah Mitchell, if he could stay healthy too. But yeah, there's other options. We have like one of the best tight ends in the league, right? That we haven't even utilized at all in the passing game this year, other than that 3 touchdown game. So yeah, Kyle needs to come up with a game plan that's not so revolved around McCaffrey, especially if McCaffrey's not going to play. Like we need to figure out how to move the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like they're as soon as Deebo Samuel goes down, oh, there's the game. Like, no, you have a lot of a plethora of weapons to really deal with. And these are guys that are familiar with the system that have been in it for 2, 3 years. So one of them should be able to step up.
Yeah. Well, you guys let us know in the comments how you feeling about this Vikings. Think Niners got a lock win. Do you think Kirk Cousins about to show out for Shanahan? Let us know. Really quickly, just wanted to go over some of these bad teams in the league. Maybe we could throw out which teams do you think got the best chance for the number one pick right now? There's a lot of bad football going around.
A lot of bad football. Like right now, there's about 10 teams competing for the number one pick in the NFL draft. Best odds because they have 2 picks is obviously the Bears. They have their pick and they have the Panthers pick. The Panthers are yet to have a win, even though they were up by 14 against the Dolphins early. So it goes Panthers, Bears, the Denver Broncos, Arizona Cardinals, New York Giants, New England Patriots. From the Bears down, those teams all have at least one win. The Vikings, the Titans, the Packers, and the Chargers all have 2 wins. So that's the list of teams right there. Sneaky, like, are the fucking Carolina Panthers just going to be bad, go winless this year? Frank Reich's
I
already
mean, they
given
can't.
up like play calling, and it's only 6 games down. He's supposed to
They
be an offensive head coach, a former NFL quarterback. Is he most likely to be fired as well? Like, what's going on here?
they can't afford to go winless because they don't have their pick. They're just giving the Bears the number. They're giving the Bears Caleb Williams right now.
Yeah.
Great, and it's crazy because Bryce Young hasn't looked like amazing, and I mean Panthers could have used this pick on someone else. I think sneaky odds for me to get this is the Patriots. Patriots look garbage on offense. Um, their defense is banged up, not looking good either. I mean, they just look like they're getting ran through every game. Like they're getting dog walked every single game.
It's so
So
weird to see like a Belichick team. And I don't understand what Bill Belichick is doing. Why not just play Bailey Zappi? Why are you choosing to go down with Mac Jones unless he is going to stay there another season and he's like, fuck it, we're just going to tank? But you see, Mac Jones is not the guy. Why go down with the ship? Why not make a change already? I don't know, especially after this week when he what needs to be a game-winning drive, he takes a safety. Like you gotta do something else.
My other sneaky pick, which is kind of a long shot, but I think they have the guys to do it. Uh, the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans.
They have the guys.
Watching Malik Willis in there, I was like, this is the guy to get you to the promised land. He's gonna get you to that number one pick. He's not looking great. This team doesn't look as good as it used to. I think they have a legit shot. I mean, if we're going quarterbacks to get you there, it's like Daniel Jones, Justin Fields. They're the guys to get you that number one pick.
Actually, so Justin Fields is going to be out for the foreseeable future. He dislocated his thumb, can't grip the ball. The guy who stepped in, I was reading a tweet. I forgot his name already, but they were like, he lost his last game of college to, it was like Colorado Mechanics School, like some off-brand school. It was
he's like
crazy.
A D3 guy or something, right?
Yeah, so that's going to be the tank general there. But I fully agree with you. Tennessee, you have to be concerned because Malik Willis just cannot play the quarterback position. And if Malik Willis looks this bad on the NFL field and Will Levis couldn't beat him out, how bad is Will Levis? So even if you do make that switch, Ryan Tannehill is not going to be ready to go. He seemed pretty banged up. So, and did you see he had to wait for the cart? Like he had to stand there and wait while he was injured. Like they just couldn't activate cart person.
I mean, you might as well trade Derrick Henry at this point and see what you can get.
I know, and not sneaky Tajay Spears looks pretty good. So I think you could just, hey, what are we gonna get? I think he has a contract coming up, doesn't he, Derrick Henry? But anyways, yeah, I think that's pretty viable. The New York Giants actually looked pretty good behind Tyrod Taylor. Do you make that switch? Or do you just roll with Daniel Jones?
You just signed him. You just signed Daniel Jones.
You make that switch? Are you making that switch, buddy? Because okay, Brian Daboll hates Daniel Jones this season.
All right, all these don't matter because it's gonna go to the real team, who's the worst team in the league, the Denver Broncos with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. And I just can't wait till the end of the season comes around and they have the number one pick, and I can constantly say that was the worst coaching job of all time. That Sean Payton was a terrible coach. He had the worst coaching job of all time. No wonder he got fired.
You're a Nathaniel Hackett backer?
Dude, I hated Hackett as a head coach, but I love to see him win against Sean Payton.
You're in the Hackett hive?
I just like when people overly talk shit and then they like suck at the same thing. So yeah, you guys let us know in the comments who you think is getting that number one pick. Who's Caleb Williams gonna refuse to play for? All right, we have our last segment of the day. It's the Disco, short for Discovery, where we talk about anything we discovered that week. Could be movies, could be shows, could be an article if we read at some point. And we do that every Sunday during the NFL season.
Yeah, I know how to read, but my disco this week is not an article. It is a musical artist. It is the artist Shabuzi. And some of you would be like, all right, Shabuzi, I'm not really too sure. Well, Shabuzi has 1.4 monthly listeners million monthly listeners on Spotify. He's a pretty versatile artist. He was actually featured on one of the songs on the Enter the Spider-Verse soundtrack, but his latest single, Let It Burn, I believe that's what it's called. I'm pretty sure. And let me just double check on that. I don't want to disrespect Shabuzi here, but he's a country artist. He actually has a really good sound to it, but it's also pretty versatile. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like some of Morgan Wallen's cuts where it's a lot of 808s in the background, things like that. Yeah, and his new single is Let It Burn. It's a little bit of a slower song. Highly suggest checking out Shabuzi.
Nice. Never heard of that before, but
it's actually pretty cool to see like the juxtaposition when you think of a country artist. You usually think of a white guy. No offense to white guys, but you do. But Shabuzi is a black dude, hardcore dreads, And honestly, his music, awesome. So be sure to check it out.
And did you say he's on the Spider-Verse soundtrack?
Yes, he is. It's
All right.
the song on the Spider-Verse soundtrack is Start a Riot.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Mine is. I mean, it's October. We're deep. We're getting deep in October now. I haven't watched any scary movies. And then the other day watched this one that I seen a while ago. So if you're a fan of like found footage, kind of that grittier take on scary movies, then I highly recommend Creep. Um,
Oh,
Pretty popular film, but I rewatched it recently and I was like, all right, I got to talk about this on Disco. Has a very crazy performance from Mark Duplass. Um, yeah, basically this guy he's like gonna go help film for someone and just has to hang out with this weird guy all day out in the middle of the woods and it just like spirals, gets crazier and crazier. Gives you that like that low budget gritty vibe like Blair Witch, like the original Blair Witch. Um, Definitely something that's gonna make you second guess going out to the woods or just hanging out with strangers, man. It's definitely one of the like better Halloweenish movies. And I'll probably get another horror movie in here next week for the disco, but yeah, this weird one is definitely something you're gonna want to see.
yeah, and Creep's awesome, actually. I believe Mark Duplass wrote and directed it as well.
Yeah, great Duplass movie. All right,
All right, and that's all we
that's what
have.
we
Be
got.
sure to like, be sure to comment, be sure to subscribe. It really helps us out. But until next time, later.